Afternoon, brother. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Yeah, I was just saying, my connection is going to be a bit slow today.
What was that? Didn't pay
I
the bill
know.
again.
Nah, it's looked like I've got a spaghetti western going on here. I've got the
My internet's pretty good tonight, so I'm happy
yeah.
about that.
I was thinking mine might have been too, but it's yeah, I don't know. Might get better if we just keep going, I suppose, mate. That might be the way to go.
Yeah, no
Looks like
worries.
it's got plenty of strength, but
Yeah,
yeah, not sure.
I used to be able to see that, but I can't see it now. So
Yeah, what on the little thing on the left there? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's got mine's got pretty good strength, and I've got good connection up here, Wi-Fi. So not too bad. Not too bad.
All good.
We haven't got just the two of us today, mate.
Yeah, just the two of us, brother.
Oh, no, right. Yep.
Scotty Page was going to come on and have a yarn about a few things, but he had to postpone it to next week or the week after. So
Oh, right, mate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, the big news, mate. The big news. Wow.
which
Bet
one?
you're happy about that.
Which news?
Well, Sydney's now one of the world marathon locations. We've got the
Oh,
Boston,
okay.
New York, and Sydney now has come
Oh, there
on
you
board.
go. There
Yeah,
you
the
go.
Brisbane, the Athens
Haven't
one,
heard that.
Paris
But
one. Yeah.
as you know, brother, we don't watch a lot of news or catch up with any of that stuff. So
As
I'm a
soon as
little bit behind on that. But that's
I,
exciting.
it is exciting in Sydney. Yes, first it's on the list of the marathons now, the world marathon. So it's pretty good. G'day, Derek. How are you? Evening, brothers. G'day, everyone. I hope everyone is well. Yes,
Hey, Derek, how are you, brother? Good to hear from you.
yes. Feeling okay. I'm feeling okay, brother. But yeah, just let me acknowledge country. I just want to make sure that I do this,
Go for it,
um,
brother.
give it
Go
its
for it.
due diligence. I guess that I need to make sure that as an Aboriginal person, I just want to acknowledge custodians of this particular part of the world. It's actually country for me, so it's a Yidinji mob here, and also to my father's family up in the Torres Straits, so the Gadigal people up there. So and elders, of course, the elders that have kept us here. I weird thing happened to me yesterday was I went to a birthday party. It was the 60th for my cousin, so my younger cousin, and yeah, I think it might have been the eldest bloke there. No, it wasn't. The other cousin was the eldest one there. So it's when you talk about elders, we start getting up there amongst them, but we talk about elders in terms of those past elders that without them we wouldn't be here anyway. So yeah. So back to you, brother.
It's a really good conversation, isn't it? Really, I mean, about
Mm.
elders and you know the becoming of elders, and who is an elder, who isn't an elder, and all those
Yeah,
sort of things. And it's a really good discussion, and we should get into it one night and get a
yes,
few people on and have that discussion, brother, because I think it's really important. So
yeah,
yeah,
maybe something we do tonight, mate. Even just have a bit of a chat about that. Derek's on there, and I'm sure he's got some knowledge about and some I guess beliefs who is an elder and how do you and I think you only know that in your own mob really in those respected people.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Mate,
yeah.
just before we go any further, I too want to just acknowledge the traditional custodians where we all work, meet, and play, brother, and just pay the utmost respects to all our mobs that are watching as well, and
Hmm.
pay respects to them, and just acknowledge all the hard work that our elders, past, present, and up and coming, are doing, and yeah, to get us where we are today. And I just want to acknowledge the Gittable people where we are. We're back at home tonight, so um, we just pay the utmost respects to that mob. And also to my mob, the Money people down there in southwestern New South Wales, and just pay respects to all our old people, our ancestors, and
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
else there
Hmm.
as well. So, yeah, look, it is a really interesting conversation, brother. You know what I mean? So,
It is a very interesting conversation. Yeah,
we
yeah.
got we got Frances White. Hello, France. She said hi, everyone, as well.
Hi,
So,
Francis.
yeah, so we might kick that off, brother, with you know,
Yeah,
just that question: what is an elder, and how do you become an elder?
yeah, that's right. How do you become an elder? And I know who my elders are. Mainly, of course, they're part of my family, but there are also elders outside of my family group who I consider elders. And people that knew, in fact, had a relationship with my elders. You know what I mean? They were. I don't know how they may have been connected in family, but they may not have been. But they were definitely friends of the family. So yeah, and I guess that's what in terms of respect. That's who I was brought up to respect. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
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 definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, brother. I mean, um, we all know who our elders are, and a lot of that comes down to respect and that trust and what they do in community and all those sort of things. So it is, and it's a pretty massive role when you look at it because you're under a fair bit of pressure and stress and all that sort of stuff, especially these days, brother. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a hard one to define, I think, because I think it is different for different mobs as well. So you
yeah.
know,
You're right there, mate. Yeah, and sometimes I feel that. Sometimes I feel when I'm out in community, wherever that might be, elders are very quiet, and sometimes I think that you know I don't know whether they're quiet on purpose or whether they're afraid to say things because they're younger leaders in the group. You know what I mean? And it's kind of it's really difficult, I guess, for people to have that voice, especially nowadays, because I know that look at these young kids running around doing stuff, especially our mob. You know what I mean? So the elders are really certainly. I would imagine they've had some views on that in terms of what's happening in terms of youth crime, but no one's asking them or they're not saying stuff. Really, I just don't know. It's kind of sometimes it's there's elderly abuse, of course. So yeah, it's quite interesting that kind of dynamic, I guess. That the dynamic of the family unit, I guess, how that all pans out these days. It's quite interesting.
yeah,
I was really happy yesterday because although there were other what I'll call elders that I respect are in the room. Um, every young person was very respectful.
yeah, that's beautiful. That's
You know what I
beautiful.
mean? Yeah,
Hey,
that's right.
and I think that's what you want to see, brother. I mean,
Mm,
because we both do a lot of work in communities and those sort of places, but you do see a little bit of that respect and that trust lost between some of the younger ones and some of the older ones. So
yeah,
that's fantastic to see, mate.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and also if there are, I think that some of that stuff needs to be delegated. You know what I mean? It's being a spokesperson for a particular family. If you're younger than the person that's the elder, then the elder needs to kind of anoint you to be that spokesperson. Um,
yeah,
yeah, that type of stuff. Yeah, and certainly have you know uh, how can I say this? It certainly have some minimum standards, if you like, of what needs to happen. You know, um, in terms of that, but yeah, it's quite interesting that yeah, we find these days it's only in some places, in some instances, that the elder takes a back seat to everything, and no one asks for that opinion. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah. I guess we've seen it too. Like in the last few years around, you know, who the elders are, but as you said, they're a little bit quiet and don't know how to take the next step forward because there's others that are and in some cases running amok and not respecting all that hard work that has been done previously.
mm,
And it does make it hard. You know what I mean? And
it does make it a bit hard, mate. Yeah, I've been watching. I don't know whether it's on Netflix or whatever. It's called Territory. Um, and it shows there um, the property owners, the cattle station owners, and that with that relationship with the traditional people there, and they've given some land to a younger bloke who has been helping out with the mustering and all that sort of stuff. He's got his own business, and he goes in and helps with the station owners muster all the cattle and all that sort of stuff. And he starts to gain a lot of importance, I suppose, with doing that. But the elder there always is always trying to pull him into line. And it was quite interesting that he brushed it off a couple of times. And towards the end of the series, that it was a series, towards the end of the series, it all came back to the elder, because the
Yeah,
elder was more or less knew what he was doing. He was trying to protect his land. He knew that they wanted to mine a particular part of the land, and they wanted to get rid of a very significant cultural site. And Yeah, so he was right all the time. I suppose he was always, you know, and trying to. But the young guy wanted more. He wanted to have his own cattle, right? Earn the money for the community. It wasn't just him being, the autocrat. I guess he was really actually doing it so he can bring in some money and some more resources for the community. But um, in his role, but yeah, the elder actually pulled him up a couple of times, and then towards the end, the elder was. It all dawned on him that the elder was making perfect sense in what was going on. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He's Derek said it's an interesting question. It's as JB said, it's connection with the mob, yet more importantly, it's their knowledge keeping, the wisdom and sharing to keep cultural law and knowledge, as well as ensuring languages continued. I often meet elders who were very quiet, yet when needed would share wisdom to ensure communication continues so as to determine what is appropriate. Yeah, that's right, mate. And yeah, they do go quiet, and
we,
mm,
a lot of time, it's like a little bit of a test if you go into community as well. Like
mm,
it's not all about flapping your gums and just going talking for the sake of talking, and we've seen it a lot over the years. You go into communities and you sit down and you have those yarns with elders and traditional custodians, and there's quiet spaces there. There is quiet there, and that's
mm,
for a reason, and that's part of the welcoming, or if you like, and
yeah,
you need to be able to sit in that silence because it is a good space to have. You know what I mean? And
mm,
it might be just having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and there's not much spoken for the first little bit, and you actually are able to sit in that, and you gain a little bit of respect and start to build that rapport and that trust
mm,
by doing that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of times we've got to be in those communities and just listening. You know what I mean? And if it's nothing's been said, then we obviously know that nothing needs to be said. I suppose you know what I mean. It's kind of really there's a lot in that silence, I suppose. Um, yeah, that's right. But yeah, no, it's interesting, and the question of elders, I guess, it's really quite an interesting concept. And not a concept, but it's that protocol. It's about um, respecting our elders, and yeah, it's relationships, isn't it? Really, my goodness. Yeah.
well, I mean, look, I think a lot of things come back to relationships, and the biggest relationship we have is with ourselves. So
Yeah, that's right.
if
Yeah.
we're not feeling, that sense of belonging or right in our own identity, I mean, you're gonna have those struggles along the way. So
Mm.
um, it's it's hard sometimes. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, brindle, or whatever color. It's if you haven't got that sense of belonging and know a little bit about where you are, where or what you're doing, you do have those struggles around identity and those sort of
Mm.
things. And I think like um, there has been. I'm not going to say everywhere, but a lot of places, there's been respect lost for different reasons, and some of our elders are really struggling to be able to you know do what they need to do with regards to leadership.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah, yeah. They are struggling, and we kind of got a double whammy, with the referendum, but also now in Queensland they stopped this truth telling, um, campaign that's been going on. That was funded by the Labor government, now taken away by the Liberals, or the LNP. Uh, and people want to tell their stories, and I don't think that this should stop anyone from telling the truth. Speaking the truth. Um, and it's really with those elders, I guess. Like, once again, who are the elders that can talk about this sort of stuff? And it's not only elders that have the knowledge. It's also where the strangest thing is that the colonists, the colonials, um, recorded everything. It's all being archived, and it's all being written up. A whole lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, but a lot of bad stuff as well. So, and not a lot of people know those stories. You know what I mean? Even though it's written by their own mob. You know what I mean? It's kind of,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's all those things that happen, and atrocities that happen. With well, basically almost, well, genocide. Let me say it was that. They just tried to wipe out the whole of our people, right up and down the east coast. So yeah, there was lots and lots of battles, lots of fights happening around the place back in the day. Um, and I was. Now I'm going to talk about that. I was going to say something about there's a woman. I don't know whether you saw that, JB, but there was a woman in the territory having a go at Jacinta Price, but and this was about doing that bloody royal commission into child abuse and stuff, um, that she wanted done, or into Aboriginal organisations as well. So and they're still talking about it. It's him and her and Peter Dutton. So but there's someone that's from the territory who knows her well, and said a few things on. You must have a look at it. I won't comment on it at the moment. I just think that what was said, and it's weird because bloody this stuff we got here in front of us, this social media stuff. People say things, and and we kind of, depending on who it is, we kind of instantly believe it, or sometimes we don't believe it. You know what I mean? Yes. Some of the stuff that gets put up here, I don't know. You just got to take it with a grain of salt, I guess, and just work it out slowly and see whether the truth comes out of that. Because I'm sure there'll be some sort of repercussion. But and she was, well, I could probably say that she was like an elder. She was a leader, in fact, of her community, same community that Jacinta came from. So they were speaking up, and yeah. So whether what was said was true or not, I don't know, and that's not my business to know, because it's. But unfortunately, I heard it, and it was like, yeah, that's not nice, and yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah. So yeah, I won't talk too much about that. If you can find the interview, that'd be really good. Have a look at that,
yeah,
and I'd really be keen to hear your thoughts about it. Um, but yeah, in terms of elders and respected people, elders respect. Of course, elders are respected members of the community.
yep,
Then we have respected members of the community who aren't quite elders yet.
yep.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, at what stage does that person become an elder? You know,
Well, I think that's the thing, and I think it's different for different communities as well. Because
mm,
sometimes here, people are talking about when you reach a certain age, you become an elder. Um, for me, I mean, I respect that totally, but for me, I think it's much more than that. It's about what you've been able to achieve in your community, and
yep,
and what you've done, and you've been able to build that respect. So you give respect to get respect. I mean, I think
mm,
that's one of the big things for me, is about being able to have that respect for each other, to be able to
Yes.
move forward. So
Mm.
um, yeah. So I mean, for me, I think that's a really big one. And look, I respect any mob who whatever stipulations they have for becoming an elder. That's their business, as you said before, brother.
Mm.
Um, but for me, it's a big one about what you've done in community, and the respect that you've actually built, and respect that you give, because that's
Mm.
part of respect, isn't it? And
Well,
and and I think that the yeah, it's a bit of a hard one, really. I mean,
yeah,
and like you've got your in community, you'll have your traditional custodians who are elders, but you also have people that have been there for a long time, and they're community elders as well. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
definitely, yeah. I think
yeah,
also there's got to be still a little bit of well, I won't call it empathy, but I suppose responsibility, and those elders and let's say leaders as well. So leaders and elders are a couple of different things, I know. But in
yep,
terms of owning what you've the decisions you've made, and being able to take responsibility for the things that may not have worked out for you. You know what I mean? So it's about that and the respect that you get for owning up to it, I suppose. You're either going to get respected because you've said you were wrong and you feel sorry and you apologise, um, or you don't do that and you lose respect. You know what I
yep.
mean? It's kind of that type of stuff. Yeah. Um, Love the wisdom and knowledge you guys talking about. Jason Solomon. So, g'day, Jason.
G'day,
Yeah,
Jace.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a very very not dynamic, very diverse. It's very it's that leadership stuff and elders. It's really interesting. Um, yeah, maybe we need to do a little bit of research on this as well. Because I know that traditionally there were different people who had different responsibilities. For instance, they had
Yeah,
lawmen,
oh,
lawwomen.
definitely.
Yeah,
But I suppose, and not to um, bang the drum or whatever. But a lot of that goes back to colonisation too, brother. And that whole
mm,
divide and conquer philosophy that was brought with it. So, like it seriously was about divide and conquer, and it was about our fellas being able to, get back to where they belong. You know what I mean? Because our women
mm,
have done so much over the last few generations. It's not funny. And like working with our men. I mean, they they want to be able to regain their place, in community, in society. Uh,
that's right,
and
mate.
it's not about competing either. So it's about you talked a lot about leadership before, and I think it's a
Mm,
lot about that. And
mm,
yeah, we got a big thank yous to for our women that have taken lead roles over the years. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
definitely.
we
Yeah.
need our men to be side by side with our women and our kids. So
Mm. Yeah, no, you're right, mate. And no, I guess when we go, if you want to take it back to the colonial days, it was the men that they targeted anyway. If they broke up, that was the strategy, I guess. If they got rid of the guys, then they to be able to take over the land a lot easier. Um, yeah, and with far superior weaponry and all that sort of stuff. So it was a one-sided story there. But to our credit, a lot of our blokes, a lot of our men, a lot of our elders fought back. You know, um, uh, it took a while for some of those troopers, I suppose, to find them and catch them and all that sort of stuff. But they did fight back. Yeah, and that was the big thing, I suppose. And the women were left to look after the kids and to do a lot of the stuff that the fellas would have done, if they were there. But yeah, but and then I guess that in terms of that, we talk about elders, and then it's the female elders, that have this business stuff that needs to happen. It's and they've got all the wisdom around that. Yeah, it's kind of and as I was saying before, there's they certainly had different roles, I suppose. They had lawmen around kinship, for instance. Lawmen around a whole range of things, health, men's business. women's business, that type of stuff, and healing. So it's kind of everyone had a role to play within the community for that community, that tribe, to be able to survive. So, and survival it was, but it was also living, wasn't it? I mean, when you watch Uncle Bob Randall's videos, they were just living. That's their life. It wasn't about any wars that were going on, because there were no wars unless there was something done by a neighbouring tribe. You know what I mean? Yeah, so the clan or whatever. So, but there was no such thing as war. You know what I mean? It was kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
retribution system where someone would do something wrong and they'd either get speared for it or banished or whatever. And
yeah.
yeah, but not killed, injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. And then, and and to be honest, I mean, that's still happening in some parts,
yeah,
around the country. So, um, you know, good on them, and I think they prepare for it and all that sort of stuff. So, as you said, it's not about ending someone's life. It's about that payback system. So,
no back. Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I think today, these days now, that system's sort of gone away, because the person who may have offended or did something wrong just leaves. They just go. They take off now into the city, or into a regional centre, and hide out there, not go back to community. Some of those young fellas are in there trying to survive, I suppose, and the only way they survive is either go and get a job, or go and get what you need when you need it, sort of stuff.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Definitely,
So, yeah,
definitely. But
no,
look, if anyone else has got any ideas or thoughts on, what makes an elder in our communities, jot them down or jump on and come on video and have a yarn with us, because we'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on this. So
mm,
it's something that is it needs to we need to have that yarn. You know what I mean? Because
absolutely.
or else we start to lose that knowledge. We start to people pass away and those sort of things, and we lose that knowledge. That knowledge goes with them. Where we need to have those stories told, and as you said before, CJ, everyone's got a story to tell, and everyone needs that story heard. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and
that's
and,
right.
and like the amazing thing for like well, not amazing. I mean, it's just it's such a good thing is that like we go into communities and we know that when we start to have those yarns with people, and as you said before, it's not just the elders, but it's the leaders in community as well, and in
Mm,
community, and they know what their issues are, they know what their concerns are, and most of the time they know what the solution is as well, but they
yeah,
just need to have people by their side. So again, that support system is so massive, it's not funny. We all need to have that support system around us. We can't do it on our own, can we? So
no, mate, no, that's right. Yeah. And I guess that but and that support system really is based on respect, isn't it? It's about respect and knowing who that elder might be, or who that leader might be, or who you know, yeah, who that is, I suppose. And it's kind of yeah, it's very we've kind of lost our way a little bit, but I think in some communities it's really well it's been maintained. They that's the way they operate their business. I suppose in some more kind of remote areas of the world, I guess, in our people, I guess it's that's what happens. Hmm.
oh, definitely, definitely, brother. So
Huh. I was
Derek
trying to.
having a bit of trouble, was he?
What's that?
Derek
Yeah.
having a bit of trouble. He dropped out, trouble getting back on, missed part of the conversation. We were just having a yarn more about roles and in community and how what sort of impact colonisation had on that whole divide and conquer, and how a lot of our males lost their ways over the way, and our women folks stood up and have been leaders in community for a long time, and
Hmm.
you know again, I'll just say it again for Derek's benefit, and like when we talk to our lads, they do want to be able to stand side by side with our women and our kids, and make that good again. So
Mm.
yeah,
No, you're right there, mate. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so I think that when we talk about this stuff as well, it's not necessarily who's sitting where and what position in the world. You know what I mean? And as far as the things that are happening, that even getting to a point where we had a question to the Australian public for a referendum. So that bit of work was done. And it was done by a lot of people that were respected in their own community to come together into Alice Springs or Uluru, and the statement of the heart happened. Now we've got this truth telling stuff, so that's also been underway, and it's something that I think for a long time a lot of our elders and our leaders have wanted to get out there in the open. I suppose let's make sure that people know the real truth about this country, I guess. So um, and it's those people. But then when we look at it at a micro level, I guess it's about families and where we sit in the family, for instance. You know what I mean at the moment. So and I think sometimes it's weird because now that we've lost a lot of our uncles and fathers and grandparents and that sort of stuff. But the generation that I'm in at the moment are looking at each other and thinking, well, you know, um, who's the elder now? Are we the elders or what? And how do we? Yeah, it's sort of there's no official whatever of
yeah,
you know
yeah.
to be an
I,
elder. You know what I mean? So
I
yeah,
think you're spot on, and I think yeah, I think that's been the bit of frustration, I suppose, as well. Like for people around, the whole concept of being an elder and leadership, as you talked about before, and those sort of things. But the thing is, we have got a lot of good lads and girls coming up, and playing those leadership roles as well, which is fantastic. So
yeah,
it,
definitely. Yeah.
it is good. I mean, but I just think that they're, like from my experience, I'm only talking from my experience, like, and we get to see a fair few communities across Australia, and it is a little bit sad to see that respect and those sort of things that are lost in communities towards our elders. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get inspired when I see young people doing some great things, you know, um, and sometimes I think that if we don't acknowledge that and basically um, express our thoughts about that to them, how great that is. Um, sometimes they lose maybe the energy, maybe it's they lose maybe a little bit of confidence, I suppose, because no one's really said you're doing a great thing. You know what I mean? You're fantastic. Um,
and, and that sort of comes back to what we talk about a bit as well, CJ. With the whole thing about celebrating what we do well, because we always hear the negative shit that goes on in our communities.
yeah,
Why can't we talk about the good things that happen? The good
mm,
projects, the good programs that are running. Why can't we pat ourselves on the back and say, "Well done"? I
mm,
did okay today, instead of you know
mm,
shooting ourselves down or talking badly about ourselves, or
yeah,
you
beating ourselves up, mate. Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's it.
Yeah, I think we've got to get over ourselves a little bit too. It's like if someone goes and succeeds, we talk about that tall poppy syndrome or those
Yeah,
mud crabs in the bucket type thing.
yeah,
No, someone's gone and done something, and absolutely celebrate that. You know, absolutely, because that person got out of their own way to do that, and not only for themselves but for others. You know what I mean? So.
yeah,
Um, Derek said, I wanted to reflect on following some of our young fellas to get into trouble. They are forced into divvy van, forced into court, forced into youth training centres, prisons. Yet, if elders suggest that young fellas should be returned to country to learn proper way, they were told you can't force them back to country, even though they're forcing them into all these other situations. I got you, Derek. Yes, um, yeah, but uh, yeah, and until something like that is acknowledged, I guess, till going back on country and taking those kids out there as being acknowledged as, the right path for them, to be able to change the way that the way they're going, I suppose. So, um, you know, and that's not, I think, in the eyes of government, and they're not real strategies to be able to, to turn these young people around, and that's why
Well,
they're funded. You know what I mean?
I think the thing is too, brother. Like you've got politicians with their big billboards and those sort of things that running for to in a politics state, and we just had in Queensland as well. With billboards such as adult crimes do adult time. I
Yeah.
mean, I think you have to look a little bit deeper and further into it than just doing things like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, there needs to be rehabilitation. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
it's
definitely, mate. Yeah.
yeah, it's not like some of these kids, like 10, 9, 10. Yes, they know the concept of it being wrong, but the thing is, let's think about how developed their brains are. I suppose you know what I mean. So
Yeah, yeah, mate. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you let them be young. You know what I mean? That's it. They're trying to be older. In terms of their attitudes and their beliefs and all that sort of stuff. But they just need to be kids. Kids need to be kids. You know what I mean? So, but they're running amok. That's the problem. And you feel for them, but you also feel for the whole family. Um, but what do you do? I suppose if they're not going to a place where they're schooling, if they're getting put away at the age of 10, or doing adult time, whatever the government thinks that should be happening. I don't know. That's then if they're not getting schooling, they're not getting their health, they're not being looked after. They're not allowed to go and play. All those kind of things. It's you know they're not going to come out any better.
we're not letting be kids, are they? Like if we think about it, they're not being kids. So you
Mm.
know, and a lot of the times we hear things like there's nothing to do, there's boredom and all this sort of stuff, and rightly so as well. But I think we seriously need to look at different avenues, I guess, to be able to help our young ones.
Mm.
And if we're able to help our young ones, well, then we're able to help the older people and the elders as well. So
Mm.
know,
Yeah,
they start to feel a little bit better about themselves, and
yeah,
start to think, well, maybe people will listen to me again, because look, I think we've all seen it, like
mm.
in our communities, over the years, that some of our elders are at their wits' end because they don't know how to go about being that elder anymore, because people aren't listening, so.
Yeah, true, mate. That's it. I guess it's a bit frustrating. No one's really listening. That's it. Yeah, but I guess we do need to celebrate. I think it's not all doom and gloom. I think there's some really good things happening around the country. A lot of
Oh,
local stuff that's been great. You know what I mean? And some things that aren't being funded by anyone. There's just a community initiative that people have pulled together and running on an oily rag, and doing things, stepping up, and it's really just about talking, I suppose. If we can talk and sit down and have conversations with these with your community, things are going to sort of open up a little bit better, because I know that once all of this stuff came about, we'd be in our rooms like we are today, looking into the screen. You know what I mean? And beforehand, we used to be outside talking, and out on
yeah.
country talking, round the fire, whatever it might be. So, um, yeah, I think there needs. I think it kind of. I had an. I actually was going to write a book about this stuff, and um, and what got me interested was the conversation I had with someone about one of the NRL teams. So like Balmain, for instance, or Tigers, and they continue to lose. And this year they showed a lot of hope, but it wasn't so long ago they were pretty bad for a good 10 years, and they were just playing on the losing side. But they turned up every game. They turned up to training. They turned up to play, even though they knew they were playing against the Storm or these big sides, Penrith and all that sort of stuff. They knew that they weren't going to beat them, but they just turned up anyway and kept playing. Sometimes I think that us as Aboriginal people, we're in that team. You know what I mean? We
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah,
we
definitely,
still
definitely.
wake up in the morning, we get out and do what we need to do to make things better for our mob, and but at the same time, we know that we're not winning anything. We're not, you know, and even though there are times when like use the analogy of rugby league. Even though there are times when we score a try and we're jubilant about that, we're not
Yeah.
going to win the game. Even though we can do that, try saving tackle and all those kinds of things, they're really great. But overall, we find that we're in the losing side. You know what I mean? And we're kind of, but we need to celebrate, like you say, we need to celebrate those tries. We need to celebrate those tackles. We need to celebrate all the things that you know make us better
Celebrate,
players.
celebrate those small things, brother.
Yeah,
Like it's
absolutely. Yeah,
because you find that the more you do that, the more you have those little wins, if you like. So the more excited you get, and the more the more the better it is for you to be able to say, "Geez, I can do this. I can do some of this
yes,
stuff."
yes,
Like
definitely.
a lot of it comes back to resilience, and I think our mobs are really massive on, with resilience. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and not,
Mm.
you got to take your hat off to like all our mobs for how resilient and how innovative they are. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
there's little wins and there's big wins. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
we,
that's
as
right. Yeah.
you said, we need to celebrate them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah,
we
and
get,
that's what we do that with our kids. We coach junior, I coach junior teams, and we might lose, but gee, that was a good tackle you did, Nate, or that was a great pass, and all those things add up. Just build that confidence of each other. You know what I mean? And like I said, when we hear of something that's happening around the country that's really great, we need to congratulate people and say, mate, you know, celebrate what you've just achieved because that is amazing. And it's really important that we do stuff like that. And I know we do it a lot on a scale when NATO comes around and there's people we nominated for here and there and that. Fantastic, absolutely. But I think that we probably need to bring it down to our own communities and have a look at what's happening around us. Like young Brendan Adams out there at Rook Canyon, I'm sure he gets all the accolades that he deserves, and that's what keeps him going in his community. You know,
yeah. Look, you're probably right, and, but I think also I know, and he won't mind me saying this. He's actually struggling a bit at the moment. With all the
mm,
work that he does do, and like he doesn't want to stop doing that, but like a lot of it's left on community people like him to be able to do a lot of the heavy lifting, if you like. So
yeah,
um,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, so he's struggling a little bit at the moment, but as Brendan, as well as I do, he'll bounce back. But that's where he needs, like all our support as well. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, it was good that he came on for a little bit the other night and
yeah,
jumped on to say something. It was funny, but
yeah,
yeah, and he's excited. He wants to, and he gets excited about the opportunity to do that. And
100%. Yeah, yeah. There's
yeah,
no doubt
yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah,
We've got
yeah,
a couple of comments here, brother. Derek Wilson said, "Elders with their culture, knowledge, wisdom must be recognised. It's part of the key to change. Young people feel safe with elders and mob boundaries, as this says they care enough to take an interest in who they are." Yeah, well said, Derek. Well said.
Yeah,
And
so
Jason Solomon said, "How often do you fellas do these live videos? More people need to watch this content."
good
Yeah, Jace.
stuff,
Look, every Monday evening at 5:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, CJ and I jump on, and just a little bit of history for you about that. It's coming up to 5 years that we've been doing this now. We started when COVID started, so yeah, we just come on, have a chat, have a yarn, talk about whatever pops up, really, and a lot of the times we have a guest on as well, and they just tell a little bit about their story.
yeah, yeah, mate. Yeah, yeah, it was something that we did in COVID just to keep people connected, I suppose. And yeah, we continue to do that. Going on 5 years, probably March next year. Yeah, so yeah, mate. So we actually that's a bit of a milestone. We probably need to work out what we want to do with that. But
Got to have a party, brother.
might have to get together somewhere, brother, and do something. Yeah, but yeah. And Derek here says my son gave an example of what you were saying, CJ and JB. He shared about a baseball player. He was a brilliant player, yet he hit a period of not hitting the ball. The fans started booing him. He struggled with this until a supporter said, "Let's start standing up and clapping every time this player touched the ball." The impact on the player was incredible. All of a sudden, he was hitting more home runs, etc. It's about acknowledging the small positives, creating the big positives. You
Yeah,
know, very
yeah.
good. Yeah, great analogy, mate, and that's a great story as well. So, yeah, we've got to keep trying and keep battling on, I suppose. And we'll have some wins. We'll have a number of things that we might win, but and being able to help community, and then obviously another analogy of playing rugby or footy or whatever, goalposts do change, and we have to adjust and go again. You know what I mean? So it's always
We that, that's a massive thing, isn't it? Like for everyone, look, we've got a couple of things that we talk about here. Like there's always choice. Sometimes there might be two not so good choices, but we can never say that we don't have choice. And and to have choice, when we have that choice, we can make change. We can make change for the better, change for the positive. And as you were talking about before, CJ, we can then start to take responsibility for ourselves, if you like, and
mm,
what we need to be able to do to help others. When that occurs.
yeah, yeah. Actually, might just throw it out there, to people that are listening at the moment. So, if you know someone in your community that's done some great stuff, but never gets any accolades for it, yeah, let us know. Let us know about that. Come on and tell that story, on a Monday night about, someone that was in the community, may have happened recently or might have happened years ago. Let's talk about some of that. Let's raise some of those, local heroes, I reckon we call them. Yeah.
And, and CJ, you think back over the nearly 5 years, and some of the people that have been that have got on, and most of the people that have got on and talked about a little bit of their story and what's been happening. It's a fantastic, and they're amazing stories, and we
Mm,
need to celebrate those. And like because you try and think back and think, oh, you know is there one that stands out? And I mean, they're just all fantastic stories. So it
oh,
doesn't matter who it
absolutely.
is that gets on,
Yeah,
everyone has a story to tell, and
yeah,
they're doing amazing things in community. So
mm, yeah, no, yeah. And yeah, we've had some really good stories actually, and I remember Derek's story, and that was quite sad, but still, the courage and the love to be able to continue on. It was a great story, of that we say resilience, but I think it's of love. It's the love that he has, and from Warren Towney's story, I just saw a thing on he put up recently about
yeah,
his
so
journey in terms of getting sober. You know what I mean? So, and the things that he thought about when he was doing at the Glen, doing all the activities, and it was quite interesting because yeah, I think a lot of his family were planning his funeral. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
definitely,
you
and
know,
like
Yeah,
even to have that nickname of Alco, you know what I mean?
yes, that's
It's just amazing, and the journey that he's had. I mean,
yeah,
and you know he'll openly say, you know, it's been a lot of ups and a lot of downs, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
that's why we need to have that support network behind us, you know. So
Next, yeah, that's exactly right, mate. And, where's Drew's another one who talks about becoming a representative in the bodyboarding, boogie board, whatever.
skateboarding,
Yeah, yeah, unreal,
yeah,
and then you got stories from I think it was Christine Butler up north there
yeah,
in K Town, doing some
yeah.
fantastic things, and and we want to
Brendan
celebrate those.
Brendan Adams himself, you know, like
Oh, Brendan Adams himself, yeah, that's right, yeah, really good stuff, and I think that once again, if you know someone that's been doing some great things in the community, let's put them on their pedestal and give them some love. I suppose that's the thing. We really need to continue to make sure that people working in community, doing some great things. Going over and above sometimes, um, and sometimes, and I think a lot of times, us mob here, we don't work just to get paid. We work to help our community out. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we don't get paid for that. What we do, yeah. So yeah, definitely. And I think that's the whole thing. And um, yeah, we need to have some local hero stories again. I think just to build us up as well. I mentioned a couple then. We mentioned a couple before. And just listening to those stories just inspires people to keep going. Um, that's right. Even though we're kind of only 1 or 3% of the population here in Australia, we still fighting and we're still doing what we need to do. We get up every morning, we get up and do all the stuff that we have to do every day, and we know that the only way it's going to get better is in our community. If we get up and do that stuff. You know what I mean? It
yeah, definitely,
might not
definitely.
make an impact anywhere else, but where we are, it's helping out. So
Yeah, well said, brother.
I think that's what.
And that's so spot on. I mean, you know, like we all like that little bit of confirmation and affirmation, if you like, and
Mm,
there's nothing wrong with that to be able to, like pat your brother or your sister, your cousin, or
yeah.
whoever it is, just pat them on the back and say, "Well done," you know.
Yeah, well done. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
It's
definitely.
yeah.
No, oh, yeah.
Now, I
Go
do
on.
want to say, I think it's tomorrow night, fifth. We're in the finals of the Middenbar's in the finals of the Reconciliation Australia Governance Award. So tomorrow night they announce it. So I'm not
Oh,
sure if we're going to win or not, but we're pretty proud that we made the final three in our
oh,
category. So yeah, so we're pretty
absolutely,
happy
mate.
with
Yeah.
that.
That's not, winning or losing is not going to stop you from continue doing what you do,
So
JB.
no.
That's what I mean, and sometimes those things shouldn't be, but it's a recognition. It's the acknowledgement that you were there. You're one of the finalists, and obviously doing some great work with Mirabar, and congratulations.
I guess it would have been look. It'd be nice, and it'd be nice to get that little bit of prize money, but that would go to help another community. So that's what
Mm,
we were, I suppose, looking at. So
mm.
yeah, we've got Jason Solomon there. He goes, I'll inbox you. I'd love to come on. I work at the NRL and manage programs that placed over 5,000 of our youth. Oh, fantastic. Of our youth into employment or education, but also travel all over Australia delivering suicide prevention and domestic violence programs. Love to talk about some of the everyday stories from our youth and how powerful they are. Yeah, look, we'd love that, Jason. Yeah, look, definitely inbox us and, yeah, we'll get you on, brother, and come and have a yarn with us. We love
Come
that.
on, yeah, mate. Yeah, yeah. We're both of us here. We're outside of this little checking in session, our podcast. We're into this domestic violence and also mental health stuff. So obviously suicide prevention,
Suicide
that kind of
prevention,
stuff.
yeah,
That's a lot
definitely.
of work we do, Jason. Jason. So maybe we can, yeah, swap some cards and yeah, see how we can help out with anything if you need that. Yeah, I'm heading up to Groote Island next week for mental health first aid. I'm an instructor up there to deliver the first aid qualifications or certificates. So,
Yeah, beautiful.
yeah,
Well
but
done.
I think I'll be up there, JB, next Monday. I'll be up there. So I'll be up. Hopefully, I've got good internet up there.
Well, we'll also be in community working. We're on our way to Uluru to work with the Indigenous Desert Alliance. So we'll be up there for I think 4 or 5 days, working with and having a bit of fun with some of the rangers and our Indigenous rangers from around Australia. So
Mm,
looking forward to that, and yeah,
yeah,
look, that's the sort of stuff that makes you.
yeah,
Yeah, it makes you really smile, So
yeah,
a lot of the times, look, it is hard work and all that sort of stuff. As you said before, brother, we work in domestic violence and, we both work in suicide prevention and mental health and all that. But, the joy that we get out of working with our mobs is fantastic because we see how
yeah.
skilled and how talented they all are, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll be busy. Well, you'll be able to. Hopefully, we can connect anyway and have
yeah,
the
I'll let you
next
know
follow
about
up.
that. But hopefully, we have,
Yeah,
yeah, we have.
yeah,
So we'll both be on the same time.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely have a yarn about that.
Definitely,
We'll
mate.
work it out.
We'll
Um,
work it out. Yeah, and I've got a bit of stuff happening tomorrow. I'm going online with Queensland Transport Department. Talk about November. So, and I've got to give it a plug.
yeah,
So November, we're in November. So I'm obviously back into it again. So please, if you can donate a couple of dollars, it'd be great. I'll put a link in the comments
yeah,
and stuff
go
on
for it, brother.
DJ. So yeah, just a little bit of $2 goes a long way when we're talking about saving someone's life, I suppose, and it certainly helps. Develop programs and research, and do a lot of research
Yeah,
around other things like cancer for men. So, but definitely, yeah, I'll put the links in the feed. But the other thing I'm doing too is I'm heading around Queensland a bit towards the end of it, doing some cultural audits. JB, you'd be pleased to know that cultural audits on organisations that are funded to deliver programs to support our mob who
yeah, good,
have an addiction to gambling. So
yeah, good, good,
with
very
cultural
good.
those organisations. So I'll be out and about. So the next couple of Mondays I won't be here. I'll be probably somewhere in Queensland. So yeah, but yeah, mate, no, it's been good catching up again, brother.
Yeah, look, always look forward to it, brother. I mean, it's fantastic, and
Yeah,
never get sick of doing this because it's just as we said, as we see all the comments in the chat, mate, it's just amazing, that we're able to get on and have a yarn and talk a bit and have a bit
yeah,
of fun as well, brother. So
yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, yeah. Now, you take care of yourself this week, and I'll do the same. So, and everyone, enjoy a week. Be safe. Celebrate the little things. Please do, and throw in a bit of self care for yourself as well. So, you
yeah,
know,
it really important, and like we have seen a few people struggling over the last bit. Probably trying to do a little bit too much. Try and be present, stay in the moment, and do what you need to do for yourself before anything else. Because if you don't, you're not able to help anyone else. I also too just want to send out our love and condolences to everyone going through sorry business at the moment. And I know one of our beautiful listeners, Jan Hogan, her father passed away. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. So just big love goes out to everyone that's going through sorry business at the moment as well,
mm,
CJ.
yeah, tough times, mate, and yeah, very sad and very, when you hear of these things and the people you actually know, it makes it a whole lot heavier, I suppose. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it does.
yeah,
It does.
yeah,
Yeah, it definitely does. So yeah. So
mm, yeah.
anyway, everyone have a great week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, CJ, as per normal. Thank you and
All the time,
goodbye.
mate.